Today on the Basketball Manitoba podcast, we have Vic Pruden. Vic Pruden's influence on basketball in Manitoba spans more than 7 decades. He began coaching in 1957 with the provincial championship and went on to build championship programs at high school, university, provincial, and national levels. He was instrumental in establishing both men's and women's intercollegiate basketball programs at the University of Winnipeg, guiding the women's team to multiple conference titles and national finalist appearances, while also contributing to the development of Canada's national junior program. Beyond the wins, Vic helped shape the foundation of the game in Manitoba. He founded major events such as the Fort Garry Invitational and the Golden Boy Invitational, now known as the Wesmen Classic. He launched influential summer camps, served as the first president of Manitoba Basketball Coaches Association, and authored A Conceptual Approach to Basketball. His impact has been recognized with the introduction into the Basketball Manitoba Hall of Fame and the Manitoba Sports Hall of Fame. In recognition of his lifelong commitment to the game and his understanding of the financial challenges student athletes face, the Vic Pruden Basketball Bursary Fund has been established to support graduating players each year as they continue their academic and athletic journeys. Vic, welcome to the podcast. From present day, I'm actually really curious, you've been involved in the game for so long, like over 70 years. So are you still connected in any way to the game right now? Is there any connection that you still have in your life?
No, not really. I mean, I've been there and done that. And, if you're going to coach, it's demanding of time and energy. Mm-hmm. And I have the time, but I don't have the energy.
I hear you. How about any mentorship relationships?
Also, I would say conditions have changed. See, I'm really grateful to the public school system. And thank God for the United Church, because where I lived on Burroughs Avenue between McGregor and Mackenzie, Strathcona School that I attended up through grade 9 was across the street. And on the corner of Mackenzie was the United Church. And across Mackenzie, they had a building that served really as a recreation center. And in the basement, they had hoops. And the ceiling was maybe 12 feet. You have to learn how to shoot with a flat shot. But the point is, that's where I played basketball all the time. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but two of the junior teams from Manitoba won national championships. One was Winnipeg Light Infantry, which was at the Armory on McGregor, just north of Mountain. And virtually all the players were from Isaac Newton. And then
really?
you had Stella Mission, which was on Stella, and it was United Church. Virtually all the players were from St. John's Tech. And when I went to started at Isaac Newton in grade 10, the older guys, guys that were in grade 11 or 12, like Fred Ingleson, for example, they played for WLI. And what happened in the following year, Mr. Curry, who was Andrew Curry, who was the director of physical education for the Winnipeg School Division, he came out with an edict. You had a choice. If you played junior basketball, you couldn't play high school. Because like Fred and the others, they played both. So what happened, because of the coaching and the facilities, high school basketball really grew, and the junior league over the years sort of disappeared. Difficulty of getting facilities and all that stuff. And so that was where I started, at Robertson Memorial Basement, and then at Isaac Newton. And the reason I went to high school, because all my friends, except one, and he left after grade 11, I stayed in school because I wanted to play football and basketball.
Mm.
And I was fortunate enough to have a very good football coach, Kaz Vidrick, who played for the Montreal Alouettes and then for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, was my coach. And I learned an awful lot from him, and I was the quarterback. And so that's why I went to school, was to play football and basketball. And then I got into coaching. When I was in grade 12, I obviously played varsity, but I coached the girls' basketball team. And Jim Downey was my coach in basketball, and he really was my mentor. So at the end of grade 12, I went to teachers college, normal school. And while I was there, I was coaching at Isaac Newton, and I was also coaching football. But I chose basketball over football. The football coach, Al Kornberg, went down to the States to work on his PhD, and I was offered, you want to coach, the vice principal phoned me and said, if you want, you can coach the football team. But I chose basketball because in basketball, when you get the ball, you're a quarterback.
Mm.
And for me, football has two positions, the coach and the quarterback. The others are fairly narrow in what their jobs are.
Yeah.
But basketball, that has, great opportunity. So
Okay.
that's where I started.
Okay. So, Vic, I appreciate you kind of walking us through that. I got to ask, why did you get into coaching at all? I mean, not everyone that plays basketball actually gets into coaching. What drew you to coaching?
Well, I don't know. I just I was a backfield coach in football, and then I coached the juvenile team at Isaac Newton. That's where I started, and
Mm-hmm.
and I just fell in love, not only just playing, but for example, like with basketball, what intrigued me, like how should the game be played? What's the most effective way to play the game?
Mm.
And what's the one of the things I found, like I learned some stuff from Adolph Rupp and John Wooten at clinics by asking, going up to them after and asking questions. And I just fell in love with, that's just what I wanted to do. So in order for me to coach high school, I had to become a teacher. So I became a teacher. And the thing is, I had like tremendous support. For example, when I graduated from teachers college, I could only teach up to grade 9 because I didn't have a university degree because I went right
Mm-hmm.
from high school. But I had a job at Margaret Scott, which has disappeared now, which was like within spitting distance of Isaac Newton. So I was
Mm.
teaching at Margaret Scott and coaching football and basketball at Isaac Newton. And it was very difficult to get into the Winnipeg School Division because of, well, I don't know if people know this, but God bless Duff Roblin, who was premier at the time. He brought in full placement for teachers because there was a salary schedule over a period of 20 years. And the way that system worked, if you were, say, in St. James and you had 15 years teaching experience, but you wanted to go to Winnipeg, if you got a job there, you'd go down to the 10-year scale and you
Yes.
work up. So with full placement, they got rid of that. And you had tremendous movement from the Winnipeg School Division into the suburbs that were growing, in terms of
Mm.
teachers from Winnipeg becoming principals. So I went with, like Jim Downey, for example, went to Fort Garry, and I went along there too. So that's where I started coaching in Fort Garry. The Viscount Alexander was the high school in the first year, and then at Christmas the next year we had the new gym at Vincent Massey. So
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. So, because I mean, I know earlier in your career you won a provincial championship. Uh, what was it like that early? Those are early days of
well,
your whole coaching journey.
the first year I coached juvenile, I won the provincials. And the second year we were in the finals, and we didn't win. And then Jim Downey decided not to coach, so I started coaching the varsity team
Hmm.
at first Isaac Newton, and then in '58 at Sisler, and we won the provincial championship in '58. And then I coached at '59, and we didn't. We didn't get to the provincials, but then the following year I went to Fort Garry
Hmm.
and just continued.
Okay. I mean, but one thing I'm curious about is when you were coaching early in those early days, you said you were absolutely, I mean, basketball kept you in school, and then you went to teachers college because you said, "Hey, look, I get to coach and I get to, coach in high school." And then you won, provincial championships and you had a lot of success early on. At this point in your life, did you know that coaching was going to be something that you did? Or was it just something that you were trying? Like, did you know deep down inside, like, no, I'm a
Well,
coach like this?
well, the reason I started is like Jim Downey, my basketball coach, because I was always bugging him. I'd show up at him, and I'd have say, "We should be doing this, we should be doing
Yeah.
that," and so on. And he was very supportive, and he was the one who really encouraged me. And the
Mm,
fact that I had a job, like when I finished teachers college, I knew I was going to be in the Winnipeg School Division, and I was going to be at
hmm.
Scott, and I could coach football and basketball. And over the years, see, most of the principals in the Winnipeg School Division, more than 50% of them coach football or basketball.
Mm,
So, like, not only did I have a job, but I had support from.
yes. Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. It makes sense. I want to ask you, obviously those were like the early years. I think most people who know you, or maybe the younger people who know you, probably know you for your later years when, you know, you were really focused on building some of the collegiate programs at the University of Winnipeg. What motivated you to really step in and help establish those programs? Like, what was the
Well,
driving force?
what happened is I left Fort Garry in the end of '59, and I went back to the Winnipeg School Division,
Mhm.
and I applied for Ed Vidrick. Kaz Vidrick's son was the athletic director at United College, which is now the University of Winnipeg, and he was leaving. So I applied for that job, and Dave Anderson, who was at Gordon Bell at the time, he applied, and he got the job. And one of the first things he did is he asked me to start the men's basketball program at United College, and so that's what I did. Is I became the basketball coach and the for the men and the assistant athletic director, and then that was in '66. And then in '72, I decided to start the women's program at the University of Winnipeg. And that's what I did.
So why'd you do it? I'm very curious. Like, I mean, it
Well,
obviously
because
had to be done, but why did you do it?
because the men's program was established,
Mhm.
and it was obvious that we'll start the women's program. I'm interested in coaching, whether it's men or women. It
Yeah.
makes no difference. You want to play, I'll coach.
Hmm. Hmm. For sure. At that time, Vic, did the University of Manitoba already have a women's program?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So
In
this would
fact,
be,
the first in 1972, uh, the had a team, but we weren't in the university conference
uh,
then. So we went into the senior league, and we won the provincials. We beat Manitoba in the finals in the best of five, three straight. And then the following year, we were in the conference.
okay. Okay. So it was only
But,
one
but,
year that you weren't in the
but,
conference.
but by the way, because all the girls on the team were under 19, we went to the junior national championships, and we won the junior national championship
Oh, very cool.
in
Very cool.
72. And that was a special year because at that point, St. Andrews won the national championship, and the University of Manitoba Bisons, their junior team, they won the national championship.
Oh, wow. There's a lot of success. You know, I hear a lot about this time in Manitoba as not only a time when there was lots of, new things like this, but a lot of winning, a lot of greatness. I'm curious, what was it like to build a program from the ground up in the women's space at that time?
Well, when I started the program, the women's program, uh, everybody who showed up was on the team. 12
Yeah.
girls showed up. But the good thing was that some of the girls, like Angie Johnson, I mean, you can't, you're not going to be very successful if you don't have, uh, people who can become good players.
Yeah.
And Colleen McCammon, Debbie Schilloff, and, they were it started with that nucleus.
Yeah. So they just showed up the first day. Like you just said, hey, we're
Well,
having a
well,
team, and
for, for,
whoever showed up, that was
well,
it.
for tryouts. And there was a big difference because I spent 2 dreadful years at the University of Manitoba after I left Winnipeg, and my tryouts, I had 76 girls come out for the
Wow.
tryouts. It was a little different from the 12 who started in 72.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah. So then I have to ask kind of like a more of a time frame question to maybe give some people some context. See, nowadays, word can get around pretty quick about a tryout, a new team here, but when you were first putting this whole thing together, like were you just putting up flyers around the college? Were you just telling people, hey, let everyone know? How did you get people into the gym in those early years?
Well, I had a pretty good relationship with a number of the coaches. So when I coached the men and when I coached the women, I uh, I would get feedback from the high school coaches about who
Okay.
were good, who were really good players
Yep.
and so on. And plus, I started a basketball school, so I had what I would do is ask the coaches to send me their, kids who had real potential,
Yep.
and I got to know, the young people that way.
Yeah, yeah. So you pretty much just you knew all the coaches, you knew all the players, and it was an easier thing to transition to. How long before, you get into the conference, and obviously at some point you become more of a national, presence. How long did it take to get to that point where you're like competing with some of the best teams in the country?
Well, with the men, right from the beginning,
Hmm.
and with the women, the women's, program, they didn't have nationals until just a couple of years before, and it was just a single tournament with 6 teams. And part of the reason it was fairly easy to, like we were ranked in the top 10 and for a while number one, it was the women. It's because the programs, they weren't taken seriously at a lot of schools. They had a team, but the coaches were from outside, or very often a varsity player would be coaching the women's team.
Hmm.
And but things have changed now.
Yeah. So when would you say that the women's game in Canada became more serious as it is today, where like people were hiring head coaches? When was that shift? Around what years would you say?
Well, it was, I would say by the 80s, like it became a lot more competitive than it was.
Mm,
Uh, like we were able to be, like I say, in the top 10 and beat, being, we were in, of the 8 years that I coached, we were in the Winter Nationals 7 years, like winning GPAC.
hmm
Because there were, in the West, there was the Canada West, and then there was GPAC, and GPAC was Regina, Brandon, Winnipeg, Manitoba, and Lakehead.
mm.
So we won the GPAC conference 7 out of 8 years in a row.
Okay. Wow. So yeah, so pretty successful. And then around the 80s, because
And
that's
we
when I,
were and we were some giant killers at the Nationals.
oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
What were some of the biggest defeats or the people that you took down that were notable?
Uh, well, Saint Francis Xavier, it's now Concordia.
Mm,
They had really a very very strong team, and they were expected to win the Nationals, and we beat them in the tournament.
mm.
And so yeah, I mean basketball has been very good to me. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it's an understatement. I think you've been also very good to basketball as well. I'm curious, I've heard of the Fort Garry Invitational before, when it existed, because when I played, it was still around. Obviously, the Wesmen Classic, which still lives to this day. I think it had a different name when you started it, though, but you were what
it was a Golden Boy.
the Golden Boy. Okay. I
But the
actually like
pro
that name.
no, but well, but the problem was that there was a Golden Boy hockey tournament. There was a Golden Boy.
Oh,
So we went to the Westman Classic, and the FGIT is an interesting story.
let's hear it.
Like I told you, Kaz Vidrick, uh, he ended up being the director of physical education. He succeeded Andrew Curry as the phys ed director in the Winnipeg School Division, and he went to McGill University,
Hmm.
and he became friends with a fellow who ended up teaching at Luther College in Regina, and they had the Luther tournament,
Yeah.
really a great tournament. And I can't remember, I think it was his surname was Pelche, but he contacted Kaz and he asked him if a team from Winnipeg would come. And Kaz nominated our team, the team that I was coaching. So I was the first team to go to Luther. And then when I was at Massey, we went to Luther. And what I did is I modeled the FGIT on the Luther tournament.
Ah, yes. Very cool. The Luther tournament was I mean, a lot of people played in it. It's a special thing for sure. And then when you model it off, so the FGIT, the fidget, when you put that together, um, like back then, you have certain tournaments, high school tournaments that you know about, and they've been around for a long time. Were there a lot of high school tournaments back then? Was that the norm, or
Well,
was something like
well,
this new?
the other tournament, which was based on, like Clyde Perry, who was at Tech Bach.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay, we were good friends, and he was involved in basketball, and he refereed, and he coached basketball at the junior high level and that. But he was instrumental in getting the WIT tournament going,
Hmm.
which I think is still going, and
Still is,
it's
yeah.
now, I think now it's still probably the best tournament.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool to see these things that are just like legacy pieces, like you're mentioning these events and I'm like, yeah, I played in these, and I've been out of the game. I graduated it's over 25 years ago now. So it's really cool that I'm talking to you and you go way back to see that, you were
See,
person to
one of the
go ahead.
things that really changed, like before Christmas, there were no conferences games.
Mm.
The conference games started after Christmas.
Yep.
And when the conference games were on, there was no tournaments.
Oh.
Okay, you played your conference games. What's happened now, and I wouldn't coach now, because now the kids don't practice very much.
Yeah.
They're playing 2 games a week, and every weekend they're going to some tournament.
Yep.
So, like, how do you coach that if you're going? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. You're constantly competing. There's no practice. Yeah.
so I'm not into recreation.
Yeah. Well, you're a true coach. I'm actually curious, Vic, like, you've obviously started as a coach. You are a coach, but you also spend a lot of time building the game, like tournaments and camps and things of that
Well, let me
nature.
let me ask you a question.
Okay.
How do
Let's
you
hear it.
hold how do you hold a basketball?
How do I specifically? Like, depends on what I'm doing. I guess that's the answer. Am I
See,
inbounding it? Am I into triple threat? Like, what am I doing?
well, no, just how do you hold a basketball? Do you hold it like a loaf of bread, or
I don't know. I don't know. I've never thought about how to
well,
eloquently say that.
that's what separates me from most coaches is the Socratic method. You ask questions like, how do
Mm,
you hold a basketball?
yeah.
And you want an answer? I'll give you a little coaching thing here.
Okay. I do want an answer.
Okay, well, quickness in any sport is very important.
Mhm.
And there are 3 components to quickness. Your parents, in other words, your genes,
Yes.
okay? And then there's a question of mechanics.
Mhm.
Like every time you move, okay, it it counts, right? You're using up time. So the, the less movement,
Mhm.
the quicker you're going to be, right? And the third thing is perception. Like with some players, like I actually had this happen to me. I would go to a player and say, "What color uniform was the other team wearing?" And they didn't know. So what? I mean, like, are they left-handed? Are they right-handed? Like,
Yeah.
you understand what I'm saying?
Mhm. Mhm.
So, so in terms of passing or shooting, like, well, let's take passing. The quickest way to pass the ball is just hand wrist, just boom, and you get arm passers, arm passers. Well, that takes a lot of time. So particularly in the front court, you want to be a wrist passer. And for example, in the NBA, the last, the best players in the, winning that award for the outstanding player, they've been Europeans. And in fact, last year it was a Canadian. The passing is terrible. Like, I don't watch very much of the NBA because that's entertainment. It's not basketball. I no
I
longer
agree.
know what travel is, and, and carry ball, and I mean but it's entertainment.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
For sure.
it's not basketball for me.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I don't watch much NBA at all anymore. I'm more of I actually
Well,
watch a lot
I
of
watch
different
the women.
sports,
I actually watch the women.
like the WNBA.
Yeah,
Okay.
they play.
Okay.
They play a better band.
Hmm.
Transition basketball. They're working hard all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, thinking we're into the realm of coaching philosophy. I want to ask you about the book that you authored. At that time, it was a little bit ahead of its time, and you just hit me with a piece of your coaching method. You just started asking me questions, and I had to start thinking. I'm thinking of answers, that Socratic method. What was the core idea that you were trying to get to coaches to understand in the book, Conceptual Approach to Basketball?
Well, I evolved. I started off like the last challenge for me was a team play.
Hmm.
Like players, like coaches and that, they run plays. but they don't have a system of play.
Mm.
So because I was a quarterback, like being a quarterback on any play, like when I called a play, I knew exactly what the other 11 players were doing. Okay, so I've gone to kids, who are playing university basketball, and say I come to you, and I say, Darcy, when so and so has the ball, what's going to happen next? And he's, I don't know. It's kind of a mystery. He's kind of watched, he's kind of. And when I go to a game and see that the four teammates are watching the guy with the ball, they're disorganized. So that there's only one ball. So why are the other four guys watching the ball? Okay.
Yeah.
So I developed a system of play. Just to give you a couple of examples, you're not a point guard, you're a player. So if you're 7 feet tall and get a rebound and start to advance the ball, you're playing the point guard position.
Yeah.
So you should know what's involved with that.
Yeah.
So you occupy positions, okay? And decision making is very. See, I think one of the things that excited me about basketball is that it can be really a great game for the mind. And most of the basketball that I see, it's like chickens with their heads cut off running around. Okay,
Yeah.
it's up and down the floor, and I mean,
Yeah.
it's just every man for himself. Like it's not organized.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. So then what would you say some of the biggest changes maybe in your coaching principles that did never change over the decades? Would this be one of them? Or it's just like, look, we have to teach people how to play the game, not what position they're in, or
What I did initially, like what I found, the less you know, the more you yell. And as I learned the game, my idea was, like, I would tell the players what to do and they would do it. Like, we're going to
yeah.
do that. But my idea was, I'm going to get a system of play and I'll teach the system. And first you got to get the system in your mind. And then you got to be able to do it. And then you have to be able to use it. Okay. Here's an example. Like this guy Darcy, he can score 30 or 40 points a game. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the offense to make Darcy play defense. And like, to me, the first 35 minutes of a game is foreplay. The last 5 minutes are critical.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to spend a lot of time to try and get Darcy fall out of the game. And very often, all these so-called stars like Darcy, they don't want to play defense.
Yeah.
Just give me the ball. Like, defense is for the other guys.
Yeah. Yeah. First, I love that foreplay reference. That's such a, I mean, it's so accurate. It's super accurate. So then what I got to ask you, you've mentioned just a little bit of this. You kind of you dipped your toes in the water about the modern day game and, players kind of just running around with their head cut off. What would you say is the biggest concern with modern basketball? And then also, what would be some of the things that are maybe positives about modern basketball?
Well, like the concern I have is the fact that what I said about the NBA.
Yeah.
And not only that, like they don't play defense.
Yeah.
They're playing on well, how many games do they play?
Well, they have 82 regular season, right?
You can't play hard if you're traveling and you're playing like 3 games in 5 days and all that. So it's like watching grass grow most of the time. And it's, like I said, it's entertainment. It's not like there's virtually no team play. In fact, I think the fans would probably enjoy it more is if they just have a 3-point shooting contest and dunking contest.
That's fair. That's fair. But that's more NBA. So what about high
But
school
that's
basketball
but
or
that
college
but that
basketball?
but that's trickling down. Like what's travel ball?
Okay.
All this.
Yeah.
I mean, uh, and like I said in high school, see, it's come full circle. Remember, I said earlier that Andrew Curry
Hmm.
said you can play junior or you can play high school. You can't play
Yeah.
both.
Yeah.
Well, we've come full circle now with
Yeah.
clubs.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all clubs. The only thing is, I would never be able to do that because I didn't have any money. See,
Yeah. Yeah.
to clubs, you got to pay money and stuff.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so high school is becoming really, intramurals with uniforms.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. There's a big challenge there. And it's
Well,
interesting you say that, Vic. I didn't know about that. Like you said, the junior, and it's full circle. It's absolutely full circle now, for sure. So then what would be maybe if you could find something that is a positive in today's game that I don't know, didn't exist before? Is there anything that you can point to?
well, the positive is that, like always, there are great people playing, great
Mm,
athletes, and uh, and it's a great game, like it
yeah.
can be, you
Hmm.
know.
Hmm.
And particularly if you bring it in, like to me, it's like decision making, okay, in terms of cues. So again, you know, like team play, and the way it is now, like everybody wants to be a 3-point shooter.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, the game is definitely it's changed a lot in that respect for sure. It's just the hard metrics of a 3-point shot essentially is, and then the real changes, like you said, with gather steps and palming of the ball being allowed. It's changed the game quite a bit. Um,
Well, like I
a
said, it's
lot.
entertainment. It's become
Yeah,
less skillful.
yeah, for sure, for
Like the
sure.
passing is, like even in the NBA, the passing skills, except for some of the Europeans,
Hmm.
uh, it's limited. Like all you do is you drive to the basket, leap in the air, and throw it in the corner, and the 3-point shot goes up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is probably 75% of the each possession. Yes, it's
And not
exactly
only
it.
that, but they set screens for the guy. They set the big thing is the point guards bring up the ball, and you set. They don't even know how to screen.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Well, that's
if you set a screen for me, I'm going to take skin, which means that I'm going to I'm going to make it
mhm.
impossible. And here it is, a guy sets a screen, you can drive a truck between him and the guy that
Yeah,
has the, has the ball. So,
yeah, yeah.
so the skill level is not very good from my
Mm.
perspective.
Hmm.
But again, I mean, great athletes.
Yeah, yeah. So what I'm really hearing you're saying is this is more of a challenge of the rules of the game that change, not a level of the athletes, because the athletes will adapt if the rules are
Well,
what
I
they
mean, the
are.
athletes, the athletes are, I mean, uh, I was working in Florida, and St. Petersburg was the women's national team. Wayne Hussey was the coach then. And I could watch basketball, the Atlantic, then you go to mid country, then you go to California. So, I mean, you got the time zones. And I'm watching this one game, and this guy gets a rebound and dribbles the length of the floor and gets a layup. It was Nowinski. He's only like, what, 7 feet or
Yeah,
something. But you see, and that's the thing with the Europeans. And basically, and it's still here, if you're tall, you run up and down the court and rebound, and the little guys do all
yeah,
the dribbling.
yeah.
So if you're a player, you can play any position.
Hmm.
You can post
Hmm.
up, you can, okay?
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
business of off guard, power forward, like I just don't, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you should be able to play. Yeah. So, Vic, I kind of want to ask you about, and you may not be able to even answer this question, but I have to ask, just because, like, you've had so many experiences in the game. Is there a specific moment or a season or an event, something that stands out as especially meaningful to you in your journey through the game?
Well, the whole thing, the whole experience. Like one of the good things, and this is, remember I was talking about support, being able to have
Hmm.
support. When I started the Golden Boy tournament, the way, like one of the problems with university sport is that the athletics program is part of the kinesiology program. It
Mm.
used to be called the Department of Physical Education, and now they go to
Mhm.
kinesiology. And that's run by academics.
Mm.
And so they don't necessarily support athletics very much. And when I first went to United College, there was an athletic board, and the president was the chair, and you had like Dave Anderson and myself, and you had student rep, and you had faculty reps.
Mhm.
But the president had one more vote than everybody else. So I went to Dr. Duckworth, and the concept for the Golden Boy is because we're in the center of the country, we would have a team from the Maritimes, a team from Quebec, two from Ontario, one from BC, one from Alberta, one from Saskatchewan, and the University of Winnipeg. Now that changed a bit because Manitoba came in, but basically that was, and we were on national TV. We were had the best teams in the country. We played in the Winnipeg Arena for 2 years,
No way.
and we played in the convention center until the Duckworth Center was built. And it was like, known right across the country,
Yeah.
and a venue for the best teams in Canada to play. We were the first school to have a team come from the East. Hamilton came to play us in '66. That's the first time that happened. Okay.
Very cool.
So like the Golden Boy and the Wesmen Classic, and uh, and the reason for it cost us a lot of money because we had to pay rental and all that. And I had said to Dr. Duckworth, if after 5 years we're not making money or breaking even, we won't do it. And
Mm.
after 5 years, I said, well, I guess we're not going to do it. And he just shook his head and said, I mean, do you realize how much the PR value that gave
I was gonna say, yeah.
the University of Winnipeg,
Of
national
course.
TV, and
Yeah.
everybody knew about the University of Winnipeg and the Golden Boy and the Wesmen Classic. I mean, you can't buy that. I mean,
Yeah.
like like it really helped the university.
Mm. Very cool. So you'd say it's funny because while you were talking, Vic, I'm thinking, I've had many moments in high school and in college playing in that tournament. And it's really cool. Like I love origin stories. I love hearing how things got started. And you're telling me this, I have
And
moments in this event,
and of
Yeah.
course, the adjunct is that part of the Golden Boy and Western Classic was the high school tournament.
Yeah. Hmm.
And again, I invited the best high school teams in the province
Hmm.
to play in that tournament. So they played in the arena. They played at the convention center.
Yeah. 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 It has to be in my opinion, at least one of the most impactful, tournaments, just because of the nature of the university and college blend, which you didn't
Well,
see
that's all.
that, you
That's
know.
all gone now.
Yeah, yeah. But it impacted a lot of people. It was around for a long time, and that
No, but
blending of
the
it.
but the Westman Classic it's all finished now.
Yeah. But is it not still around? It's just they've completely changed the format of it.
Well, one year they run volleyball men,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
volleyball women and basketball men
Yeah. Yeah. It's
and
like,
then basketball women. And
mhm.
like I would go, a lot of people went every year. It was an event. It's because it's where
Yeah.
you met. Like a lot of times I wouldn't even be watching
Yeah.
the game. I'd be visiting
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I have so many memories there doing exactly that. I remember seeing you there all the time, you know? So, but it's the thing is most people and me myself, you know, until I read your bio and like really I said, oh, wow, you know, and then hearing you talk, it's just like it's bringing back all these really fantastic memories of just sitting there with other coaches watching. Like this is after I was finished, you know, playing and I was coaching and just being there. So it was a really, really special event. So um yeah, that's really cool. I want to know so you've obviously been a mentor, right? I mean, you talked about your mentors, people who helped you and guided you through this journey. Um, you're going to give me a good answer. I know this already. You're going to say, don't worry about it. But do you realize how many people that you've affected? I mean, in all the years, and how many people that you've obviously been directly mentoring, but then even just through some of the things like the fact that right now you told me about the Wesmen Classic, and I'm feeling this like proud moment. And like you started that. I played in it a whole bunch. I coached in it a whole bunch as well. Uh, do, how do you feel about that? That as far as like you probably affected thousands and thousands and thousands of people and grew this game in Manitoba. How does that make you feel?
Well, I'm not sure how I influenced. I know I pissed off a lot of people,
See, I knew you'd say something like that.
but because I like what I found, people would come and say, Vic, I want to talk to you about shooting. And what
Uh-huh.
I go there for, and they start telling me what they're doing, and I'm not interested in what you're doing. You know, if you want to, I'll share what my idea is with you.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
not, I mean, I know who I am, you know,
Well,
and
they
I
probably
don't,
wanted to impress you.
I don't have very well, I don't have very many people who come and want to talk basketball
Yeah. Okay.
because but like my attitude is, well, what's the point? When do you, when do you teach? See, I think the real value in basketball and things like music and drama and,
Mm.
football and volleyball and so on, that every kid, and that's why I'm disappointed in the public school system. You know, you realize, of course, that at the fact, like the kinesiology faculty at the University of Manitoba, they tell their graduates, you don't have to coach. Your job is to teach phys ed.
Mm.
And the Manitoba Teacher Society, a principal can't say, Darcy, I'm looking for a math teacher, but can you do something extracurricular? See, I can't say that.
Yeah.
Good principals, I'm sure they still do,
Yeah.
because
Behind the
they,
scenes.
like I said, I'm really disappointed in the Department of Education because there are so many valuable lessons to be learned when you're
Hmm.
involved in a good, in a teaching program where you're learning, because the skills that you have to learn to be successful transfers into everything else outside of the sport.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like you got a sense of commitment, of focus.
Hmm.
Like I ask players, like there are two kinds of people who come to play: those who want to play and those who want to become players. And
Hmm.
if you want to be a player, you got to pay the price.
Hmm.
I never did, fitness bores me, but I would say to players, you're going to have to go out there and perform. So get fit.
Hmm.
I'm not going to waste time in practice running lines and, I don't know, doing push ups or something. I teach basketball, but you have to bring something to the table. And unfortunately, there are more people who just want to play than want to
Mm.
become players.
Yeah. That's a really cool
And
separation.
again, if you want to, you want to get a coach, get a suit, get a flower, and walk up and down the bench and sort of say, "I'm the coach." Uh, but to become a coach, it's hard work.
Hmm.
I mean, so, but again, the ones with the flower and the suit, they're still valuable because if they weren't there, there wouldn't be a
Yeah,
team.
for sure.
Having a coach gives young people an opportunity to be involved.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, once the game starts, the players do whatever they want. The coach
Yeah,
doesn't have any control
coach is just
anyway.
yelling anyways, and they're not listening. So what do you think? Speaking of coaches and young coaches, what qualities do you value the most, or what qualities do you think are the most important for like a young developing coach to acquire?
Uh, well, to become a student of the game and like be a teacher,
Hmm.
teach the kids how to play it. Like the reason I went for a system of play rather than holding up one finger and that tells what play to run, or two
Yeah,
fingers, or a card or something, or yell.
yeah.
Teach them how to play and let them play, and then you're there and support them, but make it their game, okay?
Mm,
Because you know what happens generally is the aggressive good athlete gets the ball all the time.
yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. What if a coach, first year coach, came to you and they said, Coach, I I have a team. I actually know someone like this, and they say, I'm a teacher. Well, I'll tell you a real story. So this is a real person, and he's a student teacher right now. He loves basketball. They asked him to teach, and he said, absolutely, I would love to do that. And he's never taught, but these are he's never coached before, and these are middle school kids. And if he came to you and he said, what should I focus on first? What advice would you give him?
well, I've categorized skills. There are readiness skills, okay, that get you ready. And then there's one-on-one play, on offense and defense. And then there's team play on offense and defense. So okay, you have a son or a daughter and you buy them a piano and you say, okay, next week you're going to perform at the church. Well, that's what's happening. The kids can't catch. They don't
Yes.
know how to stand. They don't know how to hold the ball. They
Yeah.
don't know anything about balance. And they're going to go play.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, so
So what would you tell this coach in that respect? Because I know there's so much to learn, but these are middle
no, but,
school.
but the point is that like nobody's like, I'm not going to do what Adolph Rupp did or John Wooden did, and
Yeah.
you're not going to do what I do. Okay, it's
Yeah.
an individual thing,
I understand.
but it's like if you want to swim, you got to get in the water.
Yeah.
If you want to coach, you coach.
You
Don't
coach.
go to these wasteful certification clinics, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a bunch. It's for bureaucrats to have a job, but they're useless. Is you go to somebody that you think knows something about basketball and you ask questions. And
Mm,
that's how I learned. Like I said, I learned a lot from John Wooden,
yeah.
specific thing,
Yeah.
and from Adolph Rupp and some other guys. You ask
Mm,
questions,
yeah.
but you coach. And not only that, like, are you deaf and dumb? You learn, like you
Yeah.
learn, like what
Yeah.
works and so
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
But yeah, and
So
like when I started the basketball school, in the morning, I had a seminar of local coaches. And in the afternoon, because I ran it myself, and in the afternoon and evening for the first couple of years, then I had my players do sessions. And in the seminar bit, I would lead it, and we talked about basketball.
mm,
Like with most players, like most coaches, what did they talk about? who won this game, who got
Yeah.
40 points. They don't talk about basketball.
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
give
yeah.
you a description of the game and scores and stuff, but they don't talk basketball.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's those conversations, the questions,
So
the
they're meaningless.
curiosity.
They could be, entertaining,
Yeah,
in this provincial tournament in the final, this is what happened, and
yeah,
so
yeah,
I mean, but they they don't talk basketball.
yeah. So the biggest thing I hear from you is like be curious about the game, ask questions,
Well,
explore.
how ask like in the first question, how do you play it? Like and one like it's written, how do you hold a basketball?
Yeah, well, that was the first question you asked me. Yeah,
But here's
yeah.
another thing: when if you're passing the ball to me,
Hmm.
who do you watch, me or the defense?
I've never thought about these things. I mean, I would be watching the defense. I mean, if there's a hand in the lane, I'm not going to throw it there because I want to know. I don't want to know where I'm going to pass it. But then I'd also be watching you because you're going to be hopefully showing me where you want the ball, especially if
Well,
there's a defender there. I would imagine.
one one of the things we started at the University of Winnipeg that disappeared is I got Dr. Duckworth to invite the superintendents from the Winnipeg School Division. And the question that I put to them when they came to the meeting is would it be useful if like a lot of teachers, like a math teacher or history teacher, could coach, right?
Hmm.
So when they're at university, we'll make it possible for them to take a course in coaching
Yes,
called
yes.
an athletic studies program. So John Cote, who was from the psychology department, he did the academic portion. And then, like, for example, I did the basketball and Tom Marshall did the hockey and the volleyball coach did the volleyball session. And I learned a lot from John Cote. One of the things I learned is about focus, a broad external focus and a narrow focus. So, for example, and this is if you're going to be a quarterback, you've got to see the field, like you've got to see the
Hmm.
whole court. You need a broad focus,
Hmm.
okay, a broad focus. So if I'm passing the ball, if I have a system of play, I know where my teammates are.
Mm.
So that frees me to concentrate on where the defense is.
Hmm.
And then if I'm actually going to pass the ball, I go to narrow focus, which is on executing the pass. So your
Hmm.
focus changes all the time.
Mm. Hmm. Yeah. No, this
Because
is yeah. Go ahead.
no, but like if you can't see the like players, players like you've got to know when you're standing anywhere in the court, there are relationships. You know where the basket is
Hmm.
all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, and you've got to see the court.
Yeah. 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 No, I agree.
And that focus changes.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's why you see basketball can be such a great, but the point is that so much of the game is mindless. It's visceral,
Hmm. Yeah.
athletic,
Yeah.
but they're not using their brain.
Yeah.
The decision making is like at a kindergarten level.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I'm thinking while you're talking here because I'm like the one biggest thing I was been reminded of in this whole conversation we've had up to this point is the how powerful questions can be with that Socratic method because you hit me with this a few times and I'm like I've played basketball my whole life. I've coached. I've been away from coaching for quite some time, but I'm like, no, I should know this is stuff. But the point you're making is that a lot of this stuff, the people who get it right, a lot of times is just from feel, from intuition, or they don't even know that they've learned it. And what I hear you saying more than anything is that thinking the game is understanding these concepts and knowing these concepts, and that allows you to express them through a way that like you can teach the team. And that's the biggest takeaway from this, is that concepts
Or that
and
teach
teaching the
them how to
game.
play. Teach them
Yeah,
how to play.
exactly. And that comes through the, like you've talked about a few different frameworks and concepts that you apply, and through that you teach. Um, that's really, really powerful. You mentioned a little bit earlier, because then we're coming kind of to the end here, Vic, and you mentioned the start of your journey, where you started playing. You talked about the opportunity to play for young people. So I want to ask you something, and this is kind of outside the strategy of the game, but why is basketball, or sport in general, what would you like people, coaches, players, people to understand, why it's so important beyond just winning and playing? Like, why is
No,
sport
but
something
no,
that's
what
so
it's
valuable?
such it could be such a valuable educational tool. Okay.
Mm,
Okay, you go to history class, right?
yeah.
You sit on your bum, you take notes.
Hmm.
But how do you do history? I mean, see, but in basketball, you go to practice, and then in the
Yes.
game, you demonstrate how well you've learned in practice.
Yes. Yes.
Okay? Like, it's like referees, guys who referee, they can really pass the written test, but they might as
Yeah.
well be blind when they get on the court. No, it's the difference between just being passive, but actually
Yeah.
doing.
Yes. Yes.
Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then evaluating. See, because I like the other thing, like what I'm interested is not is knowledge of is the difference between knowledge of performance
Hmm.
and knowledge of results. Here's an example. I get the ball, put my head down, I dribble in the corner, I throw it, and it scores, and everybody
Hmm.
goes crazy.
Yeah.
That's the result. But what about knowledge of performance?
Mm.
I told you about Angie Johnson.
Mhm.
When she came, and I worked with her the whole summer before the season started. She would dip, bend her knees,
Mhm.
and bring the ball behind her head and kind of fling it. And we worked. And during one of the games, she went up and shot a beautiful jump shot. And she just
Mhm.
like virtually screamed, I did it. I did it.
Yeah.
Because like what's the right way to do it, eh? Like the most
Hmm.
effective way to do it.
Hmm.
And so knowledge of performance is,
Yeah.
uh, that's what I'm interested in. Like winning, I mean, people get hurt, there's the
Hmm.
luck, but like, did we play within our potential? Like, are we doing what we're
Yeah.
supposed to be doing?
100%. So you were saying knowledge of performance, and this is what people get hurt and they get injured, but like in competition, but knowledge of performance is like, this is the thing that you, in your opinion, makes it so special to compete in sport. So you were saying?
Like one of the things I learned from Al Kornberg, is that today's newspaper wraps tomorrow's fish.
Okay. Can you
Like,
elaborate on it?
so winning is really meaningless. I mean,
Okay. Yeah.
no, it's the fact that that you know your job, you do your job, play hard, play smart,
Hmm.
and the satisfaction that comes, that as a player, when you perform, you're doing the same thing that a brain surgeon does. Like that's his job,
Mm.
and he's doing it well. Your
Yeah.
job as a player is to execute the skills well.
Mm.
What are the skills?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the point. That's what's happening in the NBA. They're fantastic athletes, but they're not players
Yeah.
because the skill isn't there. It's knowledge of results.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense.
like what's the quality of team play?
Yeah.
What's your footwork like? And I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we could talk for a long time. I could ask you so many questions. But I think we have to wrap it up. I do want to say thank you so much, not just for joining me today, but for just being an ambassador and someone who's grown the game locally. I know you say that people, they may not like you, but they appreciate you. I promise you that. I speak as someone who's experienced the love of the game through some of the things that you've actually built. And so I thank you for that personally. And I really appreciate you taking some time today, Vic.
Well, just tell people I'm willing, if they provide the scotch, I'm prepared to talk basketball.
That's all that's required. A little bit of scotch.
Maybe a little bit more than a little bit.
Okay, a little bit more than that. But no, I do really appreciate you taking the time here. And again, like I said, I know there's so many stories, and I could ask you 100 more questions. I had a whole bunch even more just on my page here. So I do appreciate you taking the time, and thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I really enjoyed our time together.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. Please like, subscribe, follow, and share this series, and reach out to us with your comments on the show. Thanks again for joining us.